Before we get into this episode of TBD SportsCast, make sure if you're liking the content we're putting out, leave a like on it, whether that's on YouTube, Apple, or Spotify, as well as hitting that share button and sharing with a few of your friends. Our goal for this episode is 3 friends. Coming to you from Charleston, South Carolina, I'm Joey.
And I'm Mason. This is TBD SportsCast,
where we determine the most important sports topics of this weekend.
On this episode, we're going to be talking about breaking news in the sports world, some playoff rankings, a little bit of stuff just from the heart for both of us, and we're going to be taking a look at the NFL. So let's go ahead and jump into it.
Clemson versus Virginia Tech. Clemson versus Virginia Tech. I mean, yeah, it doesn't seem like a great matchup, but you're looking at it like this. Clemson wins this game against Virginia Tech. They clinch the ACC championship game against Notre Dame, which is weird thinking about. You would think they already clinched it. But they win this game, then they're on to the ACC championship. They have next weekend off, then the big game, the big rematch. How do you think this game's going to turn out?
Dude, there's no way Clemson loses this. It's Virginia Tech. I mean, look, Virginia Tech, they looked really good against Miami a couple weeks ago, and it was a tough loss, honestly, because they were so close to winning that game. But I just don't think they have it in them to go against the Clemson defense. I think Trevor Lawrence is an explosive quarterback. I think ETN is now a pass threat, and they're not great at covering the pass. And yeah, my pick is definitely Clemson on this one. I am definitely pulling for Clemson to win because I want them to go up against Notre Dame, and I want Notre Dame to lose.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree with you, Clemson winning this. You really look at how they played against Pitt, and you notice that all the starters were back. Skalski, Davis, Trevor Lawrence. A few weeks ago I said when Trevor Lawrence is back in, we'll notice that the rhythm that will run a lot smoother with the entire team, and you really notice that against Pitt. Yeah, did we have a rough second half? It wasn't really a rough second half. We were putting in second and third stringers by the second quarter because we were already up 31 points. So I really think that this game, although it's such a small game, it seems like, it's still a very important game. But yeah, Clemson 100% wins this game. Yeah.
And just speaking to you, talking about your starters coming back in and Clemson starting to look whole again, I talked about last week that I needed to see Clemson play so that they could solidify.
They had to prove that they were a championship team. Yeah,
exactly. And I got to say, I've seen them do it. Trevor Lawrence is back in. Skalsi's back in. A lot of your defensive starters are back in. And I've got to say, I really do think that Clemson deserves the spot that they're in at number 3.
And Trevor Lawrence actually had one of the best, I think the best performance by a Clemson quarterback in years. Or ever, actually. And he was 1 yard short of his career passing record. 1 yard. It was sad to see. But speaking of small games that are actually having a big effect on the season, I mean, we're looking at Ohio State and Michigan State. Ryan Day being out. Michigan State coming off of a big win against number 8 at the time, Northwestern, now number 14. I can't believe this is a game we're looking at and saying, well, Ohio State may actually drop out of the playoff contention. I think that Michigan State, a big team that knows how to upset. Now, past few years, Michigan State hasn't been able to beat Ohio State, but I mean, Ohio State has not been themselves. This entire season, it seems like they've just been beyond disappointing. And many people argue that, yeah, they're 4-0, and they quote-unquote beat 2 top 10 teams. One of those top 10 teams just got their first win this past weekend with Penn State.
3 words for you. Strength of schedule.
And believe it or not, Clemson with strength of schedule, they're actually doing really good.
Yeah, they've played 3 top 10 teams, 4 if you count Virginia Tech at the beginning of the season, who are not.
They're not in the rankings now, but I mean, you're looking at Miami. You're looking at Notre Dame. Miami is now 10. They were 7 at the time. And Notre Dame, who was 4 at the time, now 2. So, I mean, you're really looking at it, and it's like Clemson, who's struggled with strength of schedule the past few years, is now one of the top teams. It's insane. But Ohio State, with their strength of schedule, and, I mean, they have to play these next 2 games, possibly Michigan having the chance to saying, you know what, we're not playing against you, waving the white flag, knocking Ohio State out of the Big Ten championship. How do you think about that?
Well, first, before I address that, I just got to say that, you know, at the beginning of the season, I got to apologize for something. Or at the beginning of this podcast, in episode 1, for those of you that have been listening, you definitely remember me saying that I thought that Clemson, I didn't know if they deserved to be in the top 10 because of, or at least the top 4, because of the teams that they were playing. And I got to say I was wrong. You guys have actually been playing some pretty good teams. The ACC is starting to look up. They're starting to
We only have
better.
2 or 3 losing record teams.
Exactly. And so I have to say that I was wrong on that, and I apologize. But getting into this now, I think that Ohio State's going to win this game. But we know Michigan State to be the upset team. It can be done.
100%.
And I honestly, I could put my faith in Michigan State, but Justin Fields is too good. Olave is just such a threat.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to
Master Teague.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a huge throwing game. Now, and hold on, I got to make sure that it is said that I do not want Ohio State to win this game for a couple reasons. One, I just don't think they deserve to be where they're at. They deserve a loss to get out of the top 4. That's the only way they're going to leave, apparently, because the CFP committee just loves them. Also, I'm a Georgia fan. I want people to go up I want Georgia to keep going up in the rankings, and I need the top 7 teams to lose. So, but yeah, ultimately my pick is Ohio State, but I think Michigan State could pull it out.
100%. And with that, we're going to go ahead and go into the playoff rankings, sort of how we're seeing the playoffs turn out. And I want to start this off, but by putting a hypothetical, not necessarily a question, but situation in hand. When we're looking at this, we're looking at Florida and Alabama facing off against the SEC championship as of right now.
And I will be pulling for Florida in that.
Everybody will.
I don't like Alabama. I can't stand Saban, and I am wishing that they get a loss on their schedule.
So, as I was saying, Alabama versus Florida in the SEC championship. Then we're looking at Notre Dame and Clemson in the ACC championship. And like I said, Michigan could possibly ruin Ohio State's season by waving that white flag, so Ohio State is not eligible for the Big Ten championship, making them treated like an independent team. Now look at this. Florida beats Alabama, whether that's close or far. Alabama has to drop, and Florida has to go up. They have to go over A&M. They have to go over Ohio State. There's just no way. They're beating the number 1 team who seem like they cannot be beat by anybody. So Florida gets into the top 4. We'll say right now, we'll put them at 3 because they beat Alabama. Alabama drops to 4. Clemson beats Notre Dame. Clemson would have to go up to 1 if Alabama were to lose. Notre Dame has to drop. They would possibly go to 4. And that makes Florida up to 2. Now just think about that. 1 versus 4, Clemson versus Notre Dame for a third time, second rematch. And Alabama versus Florida for another rematch.
Dude, I would love to see that.
I think it would be the greatest playoffs ever.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you really got to look at this. I mean, Clemson facing Notre Dame 3 times. Both teams would be officially prepared. They wouldn't even have to watch film. They'd just be like, all right, this is the play coming.
Dude, no, literally. And that's why COVID has been just such a crazy thing. I mean, we've had so many cancellations, so many postponements. We've had so many coaches get COVID, so many players get COVID. Like, again, you know, Ryan Day's going to be out this weekend at Ohio State. Saban's going to be out again at Alabama.
Wow.
Yo, he has to be because it hasn't been 10 days.
That's true.
So he's going to be out. And I mean, and now you got situations like this where, Ohio State may not even make the playoffs because of Michigan waves that white flag because they have the opportunity to, right?
Mm-hmm. And
they
Clemson
can do that.
Clemson almost got their chances knocked out when Trevor Lawrence had COVID and their defensive players were out and they had to face Notre Dame and lost. I mean, the COVID has caused this season not only to be super hard on everybody, but also I feel like for the fan base, it's freaking awesome. I mean, when the season started out, I was unsure about this season. I mean, everybody knew Alabama was going to be all right. Everybody knew Clemson was going to be all right. But when it came down to like Notre Dame, Texas A&M, Florida, I mean, I don't think anybody expected this.
Oh, no, this has been the most interesting season of football that we've had in a long time.
Yeah, and
because
I'm
it's
here
not
for it.
just like, because usually in a football season, right, you have like one or two teams that, they go all the way through the season. Usually like Alabama has it goes like 14-0 before the championship. Clemson goes 14-0 before the championship. You might have like one like little small team that goes like undefeated in their conference. But like this season, it's been like, look at Indiana. Yes, they're 5-1, but they started out, had a great season. Northwestern was undefeated till last weekend. Coastal Carolina is still undefeated. Liberty was undefeated until they played NC State for a long time.
Iowa State, two-loss team in the top 10. Georgia, two-loss team in the top 10. I mean, everything is possible.
There is so much going on.
Mm-hmm.
There is so much happening. I mean, look at Ohio State's 4-0, like the number 4. They've only played 4 games.
Yeah.
That's insane. We're on like week 12.
Yeah. No, 13.
13. This is crazy.
I think COVID finally made this playoff committee knowledgeable. Because when you really look at it, you're looking at it and you're saying, how many times did they put Oklahoma in there? And how many times did everybody say Oklahoma does not belong in there? And they proved they did not belong in there. I think one year they proved, they were against Georgia. But this year, they're finally saying, we really have to look at it. I mean, Clemson loses to Notre Dame. They have a close game against Boston College. But look, half their starters weren't in. But when their starters were in, they were scary.
But they still haven't learned about Ohio State, though.
No, they haven't learned about Ohio State. But you also got to look at this. They got Justin Fields and Olave, and that's what we've been saying. Justin Fields and Olave is the reason why they're here.
If they didn't have those two players, they literally would not be in the top 4.
Exactly. So I think the playoff committee is getting better because of this whole COVID situation. Do I agree with all their choices? No. I mean, we're looking at it. North Carolina went up 2 spots after losing to Notre Dame. Granted, the people above them lost big time, like Oregon lost to Oregon State. I mean, I can understand why North Carolina went up. And that's one of the things I agree with. One thing I disagree with, Wisconsin. I don't think they belong in there. I think that, what are they, 2-1. They've only played 3 games. Why are they in there? They're not even eligible for the Big Ten championship at this point. Like, they should not be in this top 25.
No, I completely agree.
When we're looking at this top 10 right now.
Breaking news here coming in right now, literally. The SEC taking a different route from the ACC. SEC has no plans to cancel December 12th games as Commerce questions ACC decision to aid playoff pushes.
Wow. So you know what that means, right? So what I was explaining earlier before we got on here, if Clemson wins this game, the next weekend their game will be canceled. Notre Dame already canceled their game, so they have a week to prepare for the ACC championship, which will make the game even better.
Oh yeah. Well, they're going to need it now that Trevor Lawrence is back.
Yeah. Now we're looking at this, and we're seeing that Florida and Alabama are both going to have to play a game and then go directly facing off against each other with limited time.
Now, hang on. Florida could lose.
Florida could lose.
I'm just saying.
Against Tennessee?
It's possible. They've been known to be really bad at the beginning of the season, get better, and then just come out and be the upset team at the end of the season. So who knows?
I don't see it. But all right,
I'll give it. I'm just saying it's possible. I'm just saying.
I'll give it to you, but I was looking at the probabilities the other day, and BYU has a better chance of making the playoffs still than Georgia. Can you believe that? They have a 24%.
No.
They have a 24% chance of making the playoffs. That's insane. Another team that I disagree with is USC. The real USC. I still don't think they belong here. The amount of games they've played, and it's been last second. I don't agree with it.
I mean, they're number 20. I think they should be there. I mean, yeah, they've only played 3 games, but they've won every game. And,
yeah.
I mean, they've definitely had some struggle wins. I don't know. I see your point, but I still think that they should be here. They're a good football team.
They struggled against a 0-win Arizona.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. But going back to the breaking news, we have Derek Mason being fired by Vanderbilt. What do you think about that being the SEC guy?
I mean, he's been there for 7 years. I haven't seen anything but a downhill slope from Vandy. Vandy's like the team that everybody plays. It's like, oh, yeah, we get a free win this weekend. Like,
yeah.
Like Georgia's playing Vandy this weekend at Georgia, and I know that we're going to smack the crap out of them. It's going to happen.
Here's the thing. I don't know how long ago it was, but I remember a time where Vanderbilt was that team where you had to worry about. I mean, you see that team in the all-black uniforms with the gold helmets. I know the SEC teams got scared. I know South Carolina got scared against them. They lost a few times when South Carolina was in the top 15. They lost to Vanderbilt, losing that positioning. So, I mean, I'm not surprised by this decision. I think it's a great decision. Do I think they'll be able to get back to where they were? I don't think so. But I'll tell you one thing. One thing I liked from Derek Mason was putting on Sarah Fuller.
Yeah, that was really cool.
That was really cool, historical, and just amazing.
Yeah, and it would have been way better if we got to actually see her kick a field goal, but they didn't score. So
well, yeah, they couldn't even get in the freaking red zone.
I know, dude.
So, but she did get that squib kick, and she's still on the team. So, I mean, anything's possible. I mean, maybe Georgia, with their struggle with passing defense, maybe Vanderbilt will give Sarah Fuller a chance to get in the red zone to possibly kick the first female field goal.
Next up on the breaking news, Felix Penix Jr. from Indiana tears his ACL out for season. That is so terrible.
You know how shocking this was?
I know, dude. We just saw this with Joe Burrow in the NFL.
Yeah.
It's a terrible injury. I mean, you're out for so long, and it takes so long to get back into that position. I mean, our quarterback at Georgia, JT Daniels, that's the reason he's at Georgia, is because he tore his ACL August 30th, 2019, got replaced by the other guy behind him, lost his spot. He came to Georgia, and now he's balling out.
I mean, here's another thing, though. I mean, yeah, it's terrible for Indiana now, but when you really think about it, I mean, every player has an extra year of eligibility because of COVID. But because of this injury, I believe he gets another year added on top of that.
Wow.
So Indiana has 2 more years with this incredibly talented quarterback. I mean, he's insane. I enjoy watching him play. But I know when I was at work and I got that notification saying that he was injured, he tore his ACL, he's out for the rest of the season, I was kind of hurt.
Oh, yeah.
I was personally kind of...
It was really sad.
Sad about it, because I was like, Indiana was this moving team. Like, they had no business being where they were at, and they were doing it just because, the culture, and I think that was amazing. And just to see that because of this, their season's possibly done.
Yeah.
And it's upsetting, but I'm really rooting for Indiana for the next few years, because it's just awesome. Another breaking news story is Georgia's athletic director, Greg McCarthy, is going to be stepping down after this season. Mason, go ahead.
I mean, I don't really know what to think about it. He brought us Kirby Smart, got rid of Mark Richt. We've been doing some good things, but maybe it's time to get somebody more experienced and a little bit younger in there who really knows the football scene more than he does, and really pull in some, I don't know that Kirby's done.
I don't think he's done. I think
Georgia yet.
Yeah.
I think that I know we were talking about this earlier, but I still think that Kirby is the guy that can take us there. He's the guy who has taken Georgia further than we've ever gone before. We haven't gotten to the national championship. Like, we got there in 2018. We hadn't been there since 1980.
Yeah.
This year, 2020, is literally the 40-year anniversary. I have a hoodie. You've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
It's an awesome hoodie celebrating.
Oh yeah.
Celebrating the 40-year anniversary of that. But I mean, it kind of sucks though because we haven't been there since 1980. We haven't won it since 1980.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe it's not. He hasn't taken us the furthest Georgia's ever been, but it's the furthest we've been since
in
then.
years. Yeah.
Yes.
And I mean, the thing is, I think this is a great choice because when you're really looking at it and looking at recruiting for Georgia is up there in recruiting, but they don't have the best recruiting system. And I think with a new AD, a younger AD, he'll be able to kind of finesse the system a little bit and find better recruits. I mean, y'all had Justin Fields and he left.
Well,
y'all had Justin Fields and he left.
I wouldn't put that on the AD though. I'd put that on Kirby. I think that I didn't even know much about Justin Fields. I didn't know how good he was because the thing was when he was at Georgia, they only let him run.
Mm-hmm.
He really only came out to run. And now I've seen that he is probably a better quarterback than Fromm at that time. And
now
the only reason that Fromm was playing over him was because of seniority. And I think that we probably should have put Fields in and we would have been doing a lot better now that I've seen him play like at Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I can't blame that on the AD. I got to blame that on Kirby.
But you also got to look at it this way. I mean, you're looking at Deshaun Watson, for an example, at Clemson. When he was recruited, the AD made sure that he was going to be the starter. He didn't recruit a top quarterback the year before him, and especially once he committed to Clemson, there was no way anybody was going to go over Deshaun Watson. And I mean, you're looking at South Carolina, for example, Dakereon Joyner. Dakereon Joyner was ranked right after Deshaun Watson coming out of high school. So tell me why the heck Dakereon Joyner is now a running back at South Carolina after being one of the highly recruited quarterbacks coming out of high school. Because he was recruited.
Spurrier left because he was recruited by Spurrier. And then Muschamp came in and had his own plan, put in Helinski, and then Mike Bobo came. And because Mike Bobo came, they put in Colin Hill. And now Doty's in. And Mike Bobo is still seeing Dakereon Joyner as a running back because of Muschamp.
Because the AD doesn't know how to hire somebody. So basically what I'm trying to say is I think with the new and right AD, I think Georgia could be seeing a bigger upside to this. I mean, Greg McCarthy, like you say, he did a great job. Nothing he did wrong really, but I think there were some decisions and moments where Georgia could have done better. And I think it can only go up for Georgia.
So yeah, that's definitely a lot of news. That was a lot in a short amount of time.
Yeah, this is all coming in.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and I want to talk about specifically the Georgia-South Carolina game from this past weekend. We wanted to talk about it for a while, but I just want to get a couple of things in there from that game.
Mm-hmm.
What a game. Our rushing game really came in this week.
Yeah.
We went from 7 rushing yards last week against Mississippi State, came rushing in, literally, to South Carolina and, got back over 150 yards. Zamir White had 2 or 3 rushing touchdowns. James Cook, oh my gosh, what a threat now. He came in, made a huge...
He did have a good game.
He had a huge game against South Carolina. That game really was really good, but I really got to talk about our defense. Oh my gosh. The Georgia defense, I don't know if it's because a lot of our players are hurt, like Richard LeCount, who is coming back in against Vandy this weekend, is out. Jordan Davis is out. I don't know what it is, but it's like we're just not finishing plays. I remember there was a 4th and 1 where South Carolina was going for it, and they came in and they rushed Harris, and they literally had him back 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage, didn't finish the tackle. He jumps back up off of a defender and runs and gets the first down. I was like, are you kidding me? I was yelling at the TV at home team barbecue. I was like, come on, dude.
That kind of reminds me of the Texas A&M LSU game where LSU literally had the sack, but Bond fumbles it right before he goes down. Offensive lineman picks it up, runs it for the first down, and LSU's defense is just going, what the heck? What the heck happened?
Exactly. And it's just stupid calls like that. And another bone I got to pick with our offense now, and not just Georgia's offense. I see so many running backs doing this across college football. I saw it in the UNC Notre Dame game. I saw it in the Georgia game. I've seen it all over the place. Running backs just need to run. They do this thing where they're really fast. Like, they're not using their speed to their advantage. They're trying to, like, juke out and break ankles. Like, dude, it's not basketball. You can outrun these defensive linemen. Just run. Like, instead of, running and flanking them to the outside, knowing they can get around them, they try to juke them out, break their ankles, and try to get around them that way. When in reality, if they just run, they'll get so much more yardage and move their team down the field faster. But they don't. They try to, like, play basketball on the football field and try to break ankles. Now, like, I've never played football, so I don't really know. Well, I have, but it's been a while. But I just remember, like, I would always just run. I would never try to juke out. Like, I don't get what the point of that is. I don't know if it's just, like, you got so many things coming at you and you're just trying to think about the best thing on the fly to do.
It's literally that. I mean, you also got to think some of these guys are recruited because of their agility, their finesse, and other guys are recruited for their power. I mean, running straight up the middle. I mean, that used to be what fullbacks. Yeah, that used to be what fullbacks were used for, and now they're transitioning that into the running back position. I'm not too sure why they do it as much, but other than it's just an on-the-fly kind of decision.
Yeah.
But I mean, I agree with you. Yeah, they're fast. They can get by easily if they didn't do all this pretty stuff. But they're so into the trying to juke out and be pretty and kind of. My biggest thing is going backwards. I hate it when people try and go backwards and kind of go around the people. It's like, no. If anything, get down right there.
First downs because they were on third down and they tried to juke out and they literally had the first down and they go back across the line trying to get more yardage.
Yeah, and it bothers me. But yeah, I don't know why they do that, but that's the one thing that bothers me going backwards.
So yeah, in short, I was happy with our performance against South Carolina. I still think that we have so much building to do, especially on our defense. Our offense is looking good though. JT Daniels definitely still has some work to do, but he's looking way better than Stetson or Dwan did all year. Also, another part of the breaking news that I missed, Dwan Mathis, quarterback at Georgia, has officially entered the transfer portal. He is no longer with the Georgia Bulldogs.
Wow.
So he is no longer with us. He will be moving on. We wish him well, though.
He was a great quarterback, but looking at who they have right now, they got two guys fighting for the starting position next year.
And I'm telling you right now, JT Daniels, if he continues playing the way he is,
it's a possibility.
Jamie Newman will not have a spot next year.
But Jamie Newman is an incredible quarterback, and just thinking that he has a year to kind of prepare for next season, I'm not gonna lie, I'm worried about the quarterback position at Georgia from another team's standpoint because they got two amazing quarterbacks, and one of them has to be backup.
Oh yeah.
And one of them is mobile, and one of the other one's not as mobile, but just thinking that they have a dual threat quarterback kind of a situation going on.
And as a Georgia fan, I am very excited about that.
Yeah, I'm just interested to see how Kirby Smart kind of addresses that and kind of approaches it. But that's insane. I didn't know about Mathis until you just said that. Best of luck to him. I hope he finds a great place. Hopefully it's not Missouri because, I mean, Kelly Bryant went to Missouri. That's where quarterback careers die. Hopefully it's not Ole Miss, even though Ole Miss would be a good fit for him.
Yeah, Matt Corral is a great quarterback.
Yeah, I just don't think that, I don't know. I'm interested to see where he goes. That's definitely a player I'm interested in seeing.
So, speaking of the Georgia game, the South Carolina game, and all these other games, let's go ahead and get into the top 25 matchups.
Yeah.
Starting out with number 1, Alabama versus unranked LSU.
I think this is going to be a good game. I mean,
no way.
Not as competitive, but like this is a game that goes back. I mean, do you remember the game where Alabama and LSU game for I think it was 3 quarters? It was just 3-3.
Yep, I remember that.
Yeah, it was 3-3 the entire game. It was it was named the most boring college football game I think of all time.
Yeah.
And I still remember that game because I hated watching it. I was so bored. But yeah, Alabama wins this.
Oh, yeah, Alabama 100%. All right, number 2, Notre Dame versus Syracuse. Notre Dame.
This goes along with what I was saying a few episodes back. Again, if you've been listening to us from then. Thank you so much. But back a few episodes, I said Notre Dame's schedule has not been tough. I think Clemson and North Carolina, and I mean Boston College, were finally the 3 opponents they needed to toughen up their schedule. But I mean, other than that, they don't face anybody, and Syracuse adds to that. I mean, they lost the last game because he spiked it on 4th down.
Yeah.
So Notre Dame wins this, probably by 100%. A spike on 4th down.
All right, number 3, Clemson, Virginia Tech, we've already talked about. Number 4, Ohio State versus Michigan State, we've already also talked about.
Ohio State would love Michigan State to win, though.
Absolutely, both of us think that. Number 5, Texas A&M versus Auburn.
Now, me and Mason were arguing before we started recording this. It wasn't necessarily an argument, but it was a little back and forth because I believe this game is going to be a lot better than he thinks it is. I mean, you look at Texas A&M struggling for a good bit to beat LSU. They came out with a 20-7 win, which is pretty good. But I mean, some of the things that happened, Texas A&M broke down, man. I don't know what happened, but Texas A&M was not playing how they've been playing all season. They played like they did against Alabama pretty much when they lost by 28 points.
And, you know, even though Texas A&M lost by 28 points, that was at the beginning of the season. I mean, that was like,
but that's my point.
6 weeks ago.
Yeah, I know, but that's my point, though. The way they played against LSU was the way they played at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, and I can understand that. But, I mean, you got to look at Auburn just lost to Alabama by a pretty good margin. And I can see your point that, like, Texas A&M also lost to Alabama by pretty much the same margin. But you have to look at, like, Texas A&M has definitely improved since the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
And Auburn is still kind of, I don't know. I'm picking Texas A&M. I think Texas A&M wins this. I don't think Auburn pulls it out.
The way I'm looking at it, though, is what does Auburn have that causes them to single-handedly beat LSU pretty easily, and Texas A&M struggled against them?
Bo Nix.
Bo Nix, you think that's it? Because Kellen Mond, I think, is a better quarterback.
Oh, 100%.
So
that's why I'm saying Texas A&M will win this.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering, what does Auburn have that made them beat the ever-living crap out of LSU, and Texas A&M can't, you know? So I'm wondering if Auburn's defense can handle Texas A&M. I'm going to pick Texas A&M here, but I think this is going to be a better game than you think.
Yeah, we'll have to see about that. Number 6, Florida versus Tennessee.
Florida.
Yeah, Florida, 100%. I would love for Tennessee to win this because, like I was talking about earlier, if Florida drops another one, then if they lose 2 more games, then Georgia gets to go to the SEC championship. We'll have to see about that.
It's not happening.
Yeah, whatever. All right, number 7, Cincinnati.
Bye week. Number 8, Georgia versus Vanderbilt.
Okay, I think a couple weeks ago I said if Kentucky beat Alabama, I would let you tattoo something on me. If Georgia loses to Vanderbilt, I will literally let you tattoo
on your forehead.
On my forehead.
Only reason I would be watching this game is Sarah Fuller.
I might be watching this game because I might be going to it this weekend. So,
well, yeah, but Georgia.
Yeah, Georgia 100%. Number 9, Iowa State versus West Virginia.
Me and my dad were actually talking about this game. We think this is going to be a good game, but I think Iowa State comes out with it because their offense is lethal. I'm not too sure about their defense yet. Granted, their defense has been showing up against teams like Texas, Oklahoma, and all that, but Iowa State.
Yeah, I agree. Iowa State. I don't think West Virginia can pull it out.
Number 10, Miami versus Duke.
Miami.
I'll choose Miami, but I'm rooting for Duke because Chase Bryce, former backup quarterback for Clemson, is the starter for Duke. So, yeah. Number 11, Oklahoma versus Baylor.
This could be a good game.
Are you kidding me? Yeah, I mean, it can be. I mean, it's got history, but I got Oklahoma.
I'm going to pick the upset. I'm going with Baylor.
Man, I swear, if this is just like last week where you out of nowhere chose Michigan State, I'm going to be mad.
Yeah, because I did pick Michigan State. You picked
Michigan State out of nowhere, too. You were like, I'm going to go with the upsets this week. I was like, okay.
And I won.
Yeah, you won. Number 12, Indiana versus number 16, Wisconsin. You know what's hard?
Dude, Indiana, come on.
They don't have Penix, though.
Doesn't matter. Their defense is still really good. They're really, really good at pickup chain.
The past two games they've had 3 interceptions.
Wisconsin is not that great.
Each.
I'm going with Indiana.
I'll go with Indiana, but I wouldn't be surprised if Wisconsin won. 14, Northwestern versus Minnesota is canceled. because Minnesota's going through struggles. Number 15, Oklahoma State versus TCU. I believe this game is actually a good game as well.
This is going to be a good one, yeah.
TCU has been one of those teams that shows up when they aren't expected to. So, but last weekend, Oklahoma State decided to drop every focus on defense and just focus on offense.
And almost lost to Texas Tech.
Yeah, almost lost to Texas Tech.
Struggle win.
Yeah, struggle win, but, I mean, their offense showed up. Their defense didn't, which is the first time this season. 50-44 win against Texas Tech.
Looks like Georgia versus Mississippi State a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. I'll go with TCU.
I'm with you. I'm going to pick the upset. I always go with picking the upset. So.
Yeah, TCU has a decent defense. Their offense is kind of iffy. Yeah, I think TCU can do it.
Yeah. All right, number 17 versus Western Carolina University.
Number 17, North Carolina versus Western. North Carolina.
Yeah, North Carolina. 100%.
I was going to go to this game. I actually was going to buy tickets to Chapel Hill, but you can't. So,
yeah,
North Carolina.
Yeah, and I'll pull, like, it's like you said a couple weeks ago, you know, I'll wear the gear. I'll pull for my team.
Yeah.
It's our college, but, like, I really want them to do well, but they just won't. North Carolina wins it.
Yeah, Western needs a whole new athletic department, pretty much.
Number 19, Iowa versus Illinois.
You know, Illinois scared Ohio State to the point where they canceled the game.
I know.
I'm wondering what Ohio State saw that we don't against Illinois. I'm choosing Iowa because Iowa is normally a strong football team. They may not get all the wins that they should, but they always have a strong athletic department.
I'm choosing Iowa for the exact same reason.
Yeah. Number 20, USC versus Washington State. The Cougars. Washington State is lacking their head coach from last year, which was one of the only reasons they were good. Am I actually going to choose USC this weekend? Let's find out. What do you choose?
Well, first I just got to, point out again that Joey was wrong again last week and USC won, even though they had a bye week, so.
Yeah, USC won by not playing.
Oh, my gosh. No, I'm picking USC.
Is there anything you have that can persuade me?
It's Washington State, bro. Come on. You really think that Washington State can pull out a win over USC?
Ladies and gentlemen.
It's happening.
This just in. Joey Mandela will be choosing the real USC to win this weekend against Washington State. Yes, you heard it here first, folks.
Dun, dun, dun.
Number 21, Marshall versus Rice.
Marshall, 100%. Are you kidding me?
Remember a few years ago when Texas A&M, who had Johnny Manziel, almost lost to Rice?
Yeah, I do. That was sad.
I'm choosing Marshall, but, dude, all respect to Rice just for beating up on Johnny Manziel. Number 22, Washington versus Stanford. Washington finally in the rankings again. That's crazy.
I know.
I don't know. Stanford put up a fight against Oregon.
They did.
But Washington, still that team who a few years ago was in the playoffs. Now, got absolutely destroyed by Alabama. But, I mean, I have confidence in Washington. I'm going Washington.
I'm going to pull for the upset. I'm going with Stanford. I think they looked really good against USC a couple weeks ago, and I'm going to pull for them. So, before we get into this next matchup, got to talk about upset alert, baby. Last week, we saw Oregon State take the win over Oregon.
Yeah.
We both called that wrong. We both called Oregon. I was watching that game, and I was like, there's no way Oregon State's going to win this. And they drove down the field with 41 seconds left. Their backup quarterback at the 1 yard line.
After he failed the first time.
Runs it in.
Yeah.
No, it was his first play.
Oh, yeah, because he drew him offsides. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, when I'm watching that game, I was going back and forth because I was telling my dad, I was like, I predicted Oregon, but I want this upset.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it was back and forth. The uniforms were ugly.
On
First
both
time
sides.
ever. Both sides. Uniforms, ugly.
Ugh.
But I mean, and you know what? California has a history of beating Oregon when least expected. I'm going against my Oregon team. I'm going California.
I'm going to pick Oregon. I said last week that I didn't think that Oregon State could win, and I was wrong, but I don't think California can beat Oregon. I'm going to go with Oregon.
California has a history of upsetting Oregon, though.
All right, number 24, Tulsa versus Navy. All right, so I actually got to pull for Navy on this one. I don't care if they lose or not. My dad was in the Navy, so I'm going to pull for Navy.
Whenever I see Navy, I pull for Navy. Tulsa having to face Cincinnati soon. Do you think they're going to be focusing more on the Cincinnati game coming up than they are going to be focusing on the Navy game? I'm not too sure. Navy is big on the triple option, but it has always been a threat in previous years. I'm actually going to go Navy.
Yeah, for sure, Navy. All right, so number 25.
It's not going to happen, y'all.
No. Number 25, Louisiana versus Appalachian State. Dude, I hate App, so I'm picking Louisiana.
I don't like
It'll
App
be a good
State.
It'll be a good matchup, though. I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't like App State, but it's at App State. It's in Boone.
Ooh.
It's in Boone. Louisiana, one loss, sure, but they've been that team that's they beat UL Monroe.
Yeah.
By 50. They scored 70.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so hard. This is actually one of the hardest decisions. You know what? I'll go App State. I'll go against all nerves in my body, all Western Carolina purple and gold, and go App State.
I hear you. So that's the top 25 matchups for college football this week. Let's go ahead and link up with Michael Russo as we start talking about the NFL.
All right, coming back with us for the second week now. Michael, how you doing today?
Doing good, man. How are you guys?
We're doing all right.
I mean, I'm doing
You guys
pretty
have
good.
you guys had a nice Thanksgiving?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
definitely. Dude, I ate a lot of turkey, bro.
I ate more than I normally do.
Heck yeah. TBD SportsCast actually stands for
Turkey-based dinner.
Dinner,
Hey,
yeah.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm especially good considering the Falcons-Raiders game this weekend. What you think about that?
Oh, it was great. It was great. It was also kind of disappointing when you're looking at 2021 season because we want a whole new regime to come in, and when the team comes out and performs like that, they're all talking, you know what? Maybe we don't need a clean house this year. Maybe we can keep some people in-house. And I'm like, nah, let's not do that. It's just one game. And I think the Raiders came in after playing the Chiefs so close, the week before. That was all their energy. I mean, how do you come out and not score a touchdown? I mean, it was pretty crazy to watch because nobody in Falcons land was expecting like a shutout like that. I mean, it was cool to see the defense play how we expect them to play, but the offense is still bad. The offense is still led by Dirk Cutter. And, we put up 40 plus, but, the majority of the game, it was very disappointing because it was just so repetitive of running these stupid draw plays with, second and long. It's like, yeah, run a draw play. All right, cool. First down, run a draw play, gets no yards or loses 2. And then it's like, okay, second down, we're going to go ahead and run, 4 verts. And then if that doesn't work, okay, let's go ahead and run let's run a 5-receiver set, but all the receivers are going to run a crow route 10 yards deep.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it doesn't work. So a lot of that happened. And then some plays that, did work in their favor. I mean, they did get some plays that did work. And, obviously they scored points. The main thing about the day was the defense.
Yeah.
And, the defense was arguably – actually, I don't even think it's that. I think it was, the greatest Falcons defensive performance in, Falcons history. Or it's up there.
For sure.
Absolutely. And so talk a little bit about – would you mind talking a little about the turnover chain from the defense? I mean, it seemed like there was, fumble after fumble after fumble that our defense was out there causing.
We had a guy – named Jago Tuioti-Maniner, who got his first career strip fumble, I think. Deion Jones got a pick 6.
When it comes down to it, for this past week, so last week I asked you if it was just the Falcons' opponents were good or the Falcons were just beating themselves. This week against the Raiders, do you think the Falcons played to their strengths and played incredibly, as the score says, or do you think the Raiders beat themselves?
I think I'm actually gonna go with like the Falcons played how they were supposed to play, like that's how you're supposed to do it. I mean, they finished the game and like they didn't let up. It was all gas, no breaks. Like how we want them to play. That's how you should play every game. And I mean, and I mainly say that for the defense because the offense was still pretty bad. Like don't let the score fool you. Like the offense was still vanilla and some things worked in their favor, but they played better than the Raiders for sure. And I mean, the Raiders may have been a little surprised, like we all were. Yeah, they definitely played how they were supposed to play, like how you are supposed to play every Sunday. You're supposed to come out there with energy, juice, and do what they did.
One of the big games from this past weekend being the Buccaneers versus the Chiefs. I didn't personally watch this game, but I heard a lot about it. Saw a lot on Instagram. I'll tell you that. Tell me about it.
They were the Chiefs that we expected to come out and play. They could have ran the score up like way, way, way more than they did. I mean, the score was close, but it wasn't as close as the score indicates. Like that first half, I was watching the game and I was like, yo, like Patrick Mahomes is like the GOAT. I already said this. Like you had the old GOAT versus the new GOAT, and the new GOAT showed that he's the GOAT. Like he's killing it, man. Like the defense for the Bucs, they tried their hardest, man, they blitzed a lot and they weren't hitting home because Patrick Mahomes is just elusive in the pocket. You know, he made some really, really big throws, and Tyreek Hill, I think he had like 260 plus yards in the first quarter and like 2 touchdowns.
He was dominating a good bit.
It was pretty fun to watch. And I mean, I was hoping that they would keep, like, for fantasy purposes, I was like, please, like, keep throwing the ball. Like, keep throwing the ball and, you know, keep running the score up, man, because they couldn't hang. The Bucs couldn't hang, man. I mean, the Bucs, they tried to rally late. They weren't successful because Chiefs defense is a good defense.
Yeah.
And it was a good game, though. I will say that it was hot. It was fun to watch. You know, Brady get mad because Brady on the sideline was all pouty and you know, they were rattling him, they were hitting him, they were getting after him. It was so fun to watch. They tried though. They really did try. They made some plays late in the game that we were like, oh, okay, might have a game. But like I said last week, like when it's time to make a play, you gotta make that play. And they just couldn't convert on some key downs, and the rest is history. Chiefs win.
That's right. And so, Michael, let me ask you this. You know, you mentioned the old GOAT and versus the new GOAT thing, right? So let me ask you this. If the old GOAT was still with the Patriots, would there have been a different outcome to that game?
Man, that's a good question because I honestly don't think so. Like, I honestly think that if the Patriots played the Chiefs with Tom Brady as their quarterback, I mean, I think that the Bucs have a better, like, an offensive scheme than the Patriots do, because when I watch the Patriots play, and they have Cam Newton, and Cam Newton is Cam Newton, but like they play the Cardinals, for instance. If the Cardinals play the Patriots this past weekend, and like I was watching a little bit of that, and their offense is a little bit too predictable in the sense of like, okay, if Cam isn't gonna run it, then we're gonna have to like throw it to these diet wide receivers, like these off-brand wide receivers, because they're not good. Like they're not quality receivers. It's just like they're trying to make it work, but it's not working. It's like the Patriots offense just isn't a great offense with Josh McDaniels leading that. And I don't think Tom Brady would change that, because I mean, they still have – the Patriots had a lot of opt-outs, so they're playing with bottom tier people. So like I don't think that Tom Brady with the Patriots playing the Chiefs would have mattered, because they did that last year and they got blown out. So
yeah, see, my big thing, because I kind of have an answer to that myself, is Tom Brady being on the Buccaneers, he has a lot more offensive weapons with Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, Gronkowski. He had Safarian Jenkins for a little bit, Leonard Fournette. Like, the list goes on. Meanwhile, at the Patriots, he had nobody. I mean, he had Julian Edelman, and that was pretty much all he had. I mean, he had
Julian Edelman isn't even playing right now, and he was Cam Newton's favorite receiver when he was playing.
Exactly, and he had Sony Michel, I think, but
Yes, Sonny Michel, but I think he is
Go
on injured
freaking
reserve, I think,
dogs.
still.
Dude, I miss having Sonny
Patriots have
Michel.
2 Georgia running backs
Yeah,
at running
dude, I
back, and they're
know.
both great. It's just a matter of, I think they're both hurt now.
Yeah.
I think it's Whitehead at running back right now, so he's backup's backup. So
I just gotta take a second to say, dude, I miss Sonny Michel at Georgia. Bro.
oh, he was a great running back.
I miss that man.
He was killer.
ahead,
He was
bro.
killer. I would have loved to have like Todd Gurley, Sonny Michel, Nick Chubb. Like, well, wait, no, we
All
did,
at the
right?
same-
I think
You
Nah,
did.
dude,
weren't
no,
they all three in the same?
Yeah, they did.
Who?
Because Nick Chubb was a year younger than Todd Gurley, and Sony Michel was a senior when Todd Gurley was a sophomore, I believe.
No, you got it backwards.
No.
Todd Gurley was the oldest
Old
one.
one?
And then Sonny
Yeah.
Michel was a year
Oh, yeah,
behind
yeah,
Nick
yeah.
Chubb.
Yeah.
So Sonny Michel was actually the youngest one.
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
I mean, they were deadly, though.
Oh, dude.
would
I mean,
love
I
to.
remember watching. I know we're like talking college football here, but I remember watching the Rose Bowl versus Oklahoma in 2017 and watching Nick Chubb run all over them and watching
Yeah.
Sonny Michel steamroll down the field, dude.
Mhm.
Crazy game. I mean, they were just crazy explosive weapons. But
Well, everybody already knows that Georgia is like running back university. Like, I fully
Yeah.
stand by it. And I'm a huge Todd Gurley fan, and even Nick Chubb and Sonny Michel too, because
Mhm.
and
Georgia.
even DeAndre Swift too, bro.
So
Yeah, DeAndre Swift too.
So moving on from old goat versus new goat.
So yeah, now we're gonna move on to this Sunday's picks. So
All right. So I will start it off with obviously the Falcons game because the Falcons play the Saints again. And this time it's in Atlanta. And I hope that we can pull it out this time. I'm not going to say the Falcons. I'm not picking the Falcons. I'm picking the Saints to win because the Falcons are the Falcons. But I'm at least hoping that we can score a touchdown in this game.
yeah,
I'm choosing Saints.
yeah, definitely going with the Saints. Who's next?
What's our next game?
Browns and Titans.
Ooh.
And I think the Titans are going to win because Derrick Henry is King Henry. And the Browns are overhyped. I mean, they are 8-3. Well, they're both 8-3, actually. So
Yeah.
it's going to be a good
That's
game.
tough
But
one.
I don't
Who has a
Titans are
better
gonna win.
defense? Pretty much.
Titans do.
Titans.
Titans definitely.
Yeah,
Mike-
I'll pull. Yeah,
Mike Vrabel,
I'm picking the
coach.
Titans.
I'm
Titans will
gonna
be-
pick the Browns.
Browns, you think Baker's going to outplay Ryan Tannehill?
I don't think Ryan Tannehill is even a franchise quarterback. So
I don't know. He's
he
looking
proved
like
that
one.
at Miami.
It is true. But right now he's got Arthur Smith calling that offense, and the offense look hot.
Yeah.
So the next game is Raiders-Jets, and I think we can all agree that the Raiders are pissed off about getting blown out last week against the
Oh
Falcons.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
they're going to take it out on the Jets, and the Jets are going to be 0-12 after this game.
Yo, is Joe Flacco starting now over Sam
No,
Darnold?
Sam Darnold. It's Sam
Okay.
Darnold still.
I wish I could choose the Jets. I'm choosing Raiders.
oh yeah, the Raiders for sure.
Someone has to pick the Jets. Come on.
Well, I want the Jets to win so Trevor doesn't have to go to the team that kills quarterbacks. I mean,
There
just
you go.
think about it. I mean,
Yeah,
Mark Sanchez, his career was over when he went to the Jets. I mean, it's terrible. Sam Darnold
right
was
now.
Sam Darnold used to be a great quarterback in college, and now look at him.
I mean, hot take, like if there was a scenario where the Falcons could like trade for Sam Darnold, like, and he could sit behind Matt Ryan for the last
Dude.
2 years of him being in Atlanta, like I honestly wouldn't mind seeing what would happen. I'm not
Sam
saying that I
Darnold would be
want
great
that,
in Atlanta.
but I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Yeah.
So we got Jags and Vikings. Jaguars are 1-10. Vikings are 5-6. And Jaguars have nobody starting at quarterback that we know. They're just a scrub.
Yeah.
He had a really bad game last week, and the Vikings they played the Panthers last week, and they won by a point, and it
By
was
1
terrible
point.
to watch.
Yeah.
And it's in Minnesota, so I'm taking the Vikings because the Vikings are a better team.
I'm
doubt.
picking Vikings because of Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. Is Adam Thielen back?
Yes, he's back.
Yeah.
I'm picking the Vikings because I think they're the better team and they have the home field advantage. Going with the Vikings.
Yeah. Next game.
Bengals and Dolphins, and no Joe Burrow, so that kind of sucks because I
Oh,
like
yeah.
watching him.
Dude, get well soon,
but-
Joe.
Yeah, get well soon, buddy.
Yeah, 100%. Hope he comes back strong. And
We were talking about earlier in the episode, like with Felix Penix Jr. at Indiana. I mean, the ACL injury is just a terrible injury. And I mean,
it hurts me personally, honestly.
It takes so long to heal from that too and like get back in the game, bro.
Well, he didn't only tear his ACL, he tore like multiple
MCL.
ligaments his MCL and like a bunch of other stuff in his knee.
Mm-hmm.
And that's gonna make they're already saying like he won't be ready for like next season's like week 1. Like he's gonna be coming in a little bit late. But he'll come back, so that's good.
Yeah.
I want that. But I think the Dolphins are gonna win.
Mm-hmm.
I think Tua is starting. I don't think I heard something about him being hurt, but I think he is starting.
I think he broke his thumb.
He did something to his thumb, but I think he is starting, the coach said. But if not, they still have Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's been reliable.
Every time he's honestly, like, I didn't expect Tua to start this year when like they announced that he was starting.
Yeah.
Watching the Ryan Fitzpatrick press conference about him talking about losing the starting job was upsetting because I was like, damn, because he was playing so well. But
Exactly.
yeah, the Dolphins are gonna win because I mean,
and don't get me wrong, like I love Tua.
Rebuilding.
I love Tua, but like that man is always getting hurt.
Yeah,
he is. He's got that bionic hip.
All right, so I think the last game we want to predict is the game of next gens. Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals versus Jared Goff and Aaron Donald with the Los Angeles Rams.
Dude, I'll pick the upset 100%. I'll go with the Cardinals, bro. Like, I love Kyler Murray. I think he's a great player, and I'm going to pick Cardinals.
Yeah, the NFC West is obviously a really good division, even with the 49ers, like, being not as great as they were last season. It's going to be a good game because they both have good records. I mean, they both Rams are 7-4, Cardinals are 6-5, and it's in Arizona, division game. So like they're going to play them tough. I think that the Cardinals will win by another big play by DeAndre Hopkins. I hope because I have him in fantasy.
Yeah, I like that choice because of the Clemson player. I don't know. I mean, the thing about the Cardinals is they normally have to come back from being down. I've noticed that a few times. Now, the Rams have an incredible defense. They have incredible pressure up front. So I think I'm going to go with the Rams. I think I'm going to go against y'all here, unfortunately.
Yeah, they do have the better defense, but I just think that the Cardinals' offense is a little bit hotter than the Rams' offense. I mean, the Rams' offense is still good, but Cardinals got that Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins connection, and it's hard to bet against that one because when they're hot, man.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All right, Michael, thank you so much, man. It's so good to have you on the show again.
Yeah, man, it's great to see you.
Yes, sir. See y'all boy next week.
Absolutely. We will see you next week.
Hopefully it's after a Falcons win against the Saints.
Hopefully.
And real quick, Michael, how you feel about the big news that we told you earlier? Without spoiling anything.
Oh, I can't spoil it.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I think people will enjoy that. And I hope that my favorite player wins the award.
All right.
See you later, man.
See you, Michael.
All right, cool. Later.
And that concludes this episode of TBD SportsCast.
Make sure to go follow us on Instagram at TBD_SportsCast.
Some big news for TBD SportsCast. In 2 weeks, we will be having the first annual TBD SportsCast College Football Awards Ceremony. But this time, you determine the most important college football leaders. Go check out the link in our bio on Instagram and Facebook and go vote for all the categories in the TBD SportsCast CFB Awards.
Make sure to go like, share, and subscribe on YouTube, Instagram, and our personal social medias.
I'm Mason.
And I'm Joey.
And this has been TBD SportsCast.
Bye-bye.
Later.